What is good? What is up? It's your dinner Texans thoughts, and I am back with another live stream. First of all, audio check. We good? We good? Let me know in the chat if we're good. I don't want to hurt y'all's ears with horrible audio. Ain't nobody gonna tell me in the chat? McMack is confident. Audio good? We good? We good? All right, perfect. Let's go. Let's go. All right, what's up, everyone? Thank you for coming through. We got Money Mass in the building with his new team membership, team leader membership, so he can call in whenever he wants. We got Ryan. We got Jacob Houston Sports Pod. We got Hasnain. I apologize. McMack. I like the confidence in McMack. He says, all I'd like to say is that we beaten the Jags in 6 days. Yo, we got George in the building. We got Adam in the building. Yeah, man, I'm going to have a great Jaguars preview video for y'all, talking with the Jaguars expert. She knows her shit, so I'm very excited about that one. It'll probably come out Thursday, maybe Friday. I'm recording it tomorrow, so we'll see about that, but I'm very excited for that game. Talk about it later. But let's start with the Texans, and let's start with the news that dropped today. I mean, I'm sure no one was shocked, but to those who were holding out one little inch of hope that Deshaun could have been the starter, I'm sorry. I would be lying to you if a little part of my heart wasn't broken, and that little part of the heart that was holding on hope. But it's okay. We should know this. Since Tyrod got signed, he was going to be the guy. And I think they just want to play their cards as close to their chest as possible to, make the Jags potentially have to worry about Deshaun Watson. Potentially. But Tyrod was always going to be the guy, and that's okay. So now that it's official that we know Tyrod is the guy, let's talk about some, realistic expectations for him. Realistic expectations. If you want to put it in the chat, your predictions for his stats, please do. Please feel free to do so. My computer is trying to restart right now. No, sir. Remind me tomorrow. Screw that. Desmond Ritter, nice. Yes, we'll talk about college quarterbacks in a second. I just want to talk a little bit about Tyrod Taylor and his expectations. I think first starting with, in terms of stats, I'm not expecting him to pass for ridiculous amounts of yards or be a touchdown guy. But hopefully we can have him be that dual threat, utilize his legs a little bit, at least in the zone run game, to extend our own run game and gain a advantage in the box there. So hopefully we'll see a good amount of rushing yards, a good balance there between the passing yards and the rushing yards. And the main thing that they're going to preach is just be safe with the football. And it's something that Tyrod has been great at his entire career, not throwing interceptions. And if he's doing that, and our defense is getting 10 turnovers in 3 games again, I mean, come on. His career his career high in interceptions throughout his entire career is just 6. So in the 3 years that he was starting for the Bills, he played 14, 15, and 15 games from 2015 to 2017. He had 6 interceptions, 4 interceptions. So Tyrod, he's going to know how to take care of the ball, and that's going to be the most important things statistically wise for this year. What are y'all saying in the chat? Maxwell says 200 yards, 2 picks, and 3 sacks. That's your prediction. All right, I like to see it. 1 touchdown. We're going to have the most 3 to 9 yard throws ever. The offense is going to be a dink and dunk offense. If we want to talk about expectations for the offense, I mean, we saw it in preseason. We're going to run the hell out the ball, and when it comes to time to pass the ball, it's going to be quick, it's going to be short, and a little bit of intermediate when we need to, but it's mainly just get the ball out quick. And get those easy completions that are kind of, the extension of the run game. So that's really what to expect out of Tyrod. I think the guys he's going to lean on the most are Chris Conley, the tight ends, and then I'm interested to see how he builds a chemistry with Anthony Miller, because he hasn't really got a chance to throw to him so far. So I'm not expecting those two to have a great connection earlier on. He's going to lean on Conley, a little bit more on Cooks. But Miller returned to practice today, so it seems like the shoulder was just a minor injury. He did have a similar shoulder injury with Chicago, so it'll be something to note if it's lingering throughout the season. But he's a huge piece of this, man, with Kiki QT getting cut. If Anthony Miller can rise up to the potential that he showed in college and live up to his second-round pick billing, I mean, that's absolutely huge. Re-sign him, bring him back, and that's your slot wide receiver for damn near 6 more years. Keep him here. Everyone smash that like button. Yes, sir. Money Matt says it best. What's up, Anthony? What's up, Frank? We got Frank in the building. Tyrod Taylor going to have less than 225 yards. Yeah. Per game, it's going to be, hovering around 200 passing yards. That's really what I'm expecting. That's really what I'm expecting. Quick passing will help the O-line look much better. Yes, sir. You right. You right, Ryan. You right. The other thing I want to talk about with Tyrod, statistically, honestly, I'm not worrying about it at all. It don't really matter too much, but it was an interesting thing to think about. But what matters the most to me is how many games he's going to end up playing, because we know that he's not the guy, and that's okay. We know he's not the guy for the future, of course. He's the bridge guy, but how many games he plays impacts two things. Impacts the Texans' books, how much money he's making, and it impacts how much we can see out of Davis Mills. Now, starting with the money, he has incentives which escalate based off of how much time he plays. I think it starts at 60% of the games or the snaps, then 70, 80, 90, 100, all the way up. He gets an extra $1 million for each 10% more that he plays. So that could be something that the Texans look to, hey, he's getting to that 60% mark. He's about to make another $1 million. Maybe we throw Mills in there. Is Mills looking ready by now? We can save us $1 million. I think it's like 4.5 guaranteed, and it can escalate all the way up to 12 million. The rest of those millions are based off of like personal incentives, stats, passing yards, Pro Bowl, that sort of stuff. But it's really those 60, 70, 80, 90% snap count that will be interesting to see, because there's really no point in starting Tyrod for every single game, especially if Mills can show some stuff in his development. Now, you guys know me, not the biggest Davis Mills fan in the world, but I'm not writing him off as a bust either. Not based off his Stanford tape, not based off the preseason tape, because quarterback development, it's not just linear. It's not just linear and going like that all the way. It takes its ups, it takes its downs. And Mills will need to take significant steps, but I think we need to see at least something of what he's got this year and see how much he's improved since preseason. So whether it's the last 4 or 5 games or maybe just 2 or 3 games, by the end of the season, Mills needs to show something, because if he can take that big step, then it takes even less pressure off of you to potentially not take a quarterback this year and potentially wait for a Bryce Young in 2023. And we'll talk about him later, because he was probably the best quarterback this weekend. But we'll talk about him later. Got Beige here. We got Jason. What's up, David? I got Luck 42. He says, hasn't Kelly's offense been a more intermediate pass heavy? Yes, sir. So in the past year, especially with Deshaun Watson, they really focus on the deep passing game and the intermediate passing game for sure. But that was more of Kelly playing to Deshaun's strengths. That's what Deshaun wants to do. He's always going for the big play. He likes to go for the big play first. And he's really damn good at it. And you have Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller to win deep. But you don't got that this year. So you got to adjust to the personnel. And I hope Tim Kelly can do that. Because, honestly, I think Tim Kelly's on the hot seat. I haven't loved what he's shown so far this year. And no, he doesn't have a lot to work with. But I think he's on the hot seat in terms of potentially being replaced in 2023, probably. Maybe 2022 even, after this season. Ryan says Bill knows how to prepare quarterbacks. You talking about Bill O'Brien? You talking about Bill O'Brien preparing Bryce Young? We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I think he's doing it in spite of Bill, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, Tyrod, we went through that. I think that's all I got on him, unless y'all got any more questions on Tyrod. Let me look through the chat real quick. Just passing by, he says Tyrod is going to get a lot of yards off of a screenplay, calling it now. Maybe, potentially. Tim Kelly's never really been a big screen guy. He did go to it a little bit more in the preseason than usual. Frank says David Mills played only slightly worse than other first rounders and played a lot less last season. His growth is just from camp. He had less experience than Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, guys like Kyle Trask, guys like Kellen Mond. I see where you come from, Frank. I see where you come from. He definitely needs a lot of time. A lot of time. Ryan says hot seat while we pay our quarterback coach OC money. OC money. Is Pep Hamilton gonna be the future Texans coach? Sorry, offensive coordinator? You never know. Eric says, at what level do you need to see Mills at to keep him? I mean, I don't think it's a question about keeping Mills. I think it's more so a question about, hey, we're at pick number 1 or pick number 3, whatever it is, in the 2022 NFL draft. Do we want to give Mills another year to build off of what he showed at the end of the season? And potentially, if that doesn't work out, we go Bryce Young or DJ Uiagalelei, something like that. Or do we just go take Spencer Rattler right now? That's kind of what I'm looking for, Eric, in terms of the decision making of the end result of seeing Davis Mills plays. And I think you would need to see him. I think you would need to look kind of like Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, how he did in those few games that he started, because while Hurts statistically didn't have, a great few games there, I think he showed a lot of playmaking ability and a lot of stuff that is like a high ceiling playmaking. Like, he had very little help from the offensive line, very little help from the wide receivers, and he still managed to make plays and clutch plays at that. So if Davis Mills later in the season can show that he can elevate, a shitty offensive line or lackluster weapons, and he can show that, he is this high ceiling quarterback who elevates the talent around him and can make all these, out of structure and off script plays, that's really what would get me super excited about his development. We do miss you, Frank. Come back to the Discord, man. Beige says, I'm not a fan of Tim Kelly. Anything associated with the Billy O era is meh. And I feel we only kept him for Deshaun. Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well, Beige. I wanted to give Tim Kelly a chance, and I thought that he was pretty solid with Watson, but the more I think about it, is like, it's not hard to play to Watson's strengths. It's really not hard. It's pretty easy to see, and most offensive coordinators in the NFL should be able to do that. So while he was an upgrade over Bill O'Brien, he's still not going to be, that guy to lead a Super Bowl winning offense, lead a playoff, contending offense. And so I think eventually Tim Kelly's going to have to go. I think his inability to kind of marry the run game and the pass game together has really frustrated me. I mean, it's modern stuff like that he should be making offense easier than it is. And even at times last year with Deshaun Watson, with Will Fuller, with Brandon Cooks, with pretty solid pass protection, it still looked too hard at times. There's still just, for whatever the reason, it just didn't work. And a lot of that is because they were putting themselves in, 3rd and long situations, and they weren't getting easier yards early in the downs. So that's my little Tim Kelly rant for the day. We talked about Texans stuff. Where do Booth play, Ryan? I like Stingley. Ooh, we're going to talk about Stingley soon, Jamarcus Robinson. All right, let's get into college stuff. If you're not the biggest college fan, I don't know what's wrong with you. Damn it, college football this Saturday was so damn fun to watch. I'm so glad we had it when we didn't have NFL Sundays, because it craved my football fixing, man. if you're not a college football fan, I would very much encourage you to get into watching, because it's some of the most fun football ever, man. It's so fun to watch these young guys, try and make the league and show their talents and make their dreams come true, man. But talking about college guys, most importantly for the Texans, that's where we'll start, is the quarterbacks, And this year's quarterback class has been billed as, weaker than in previous year's class. It certainly doesn't seem as strong as last year's. Not as strong as last year's, with Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Mac Jones, all looking pretty damn good in preseason. Pretty solid. So this year, the top guys, as of now, still a lot can change in a year, but the top guys, Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler. Those are the main two, and we'll start with those, and we'll get to Malik Willis. We'll get to some other guys who I thought impressed, but the main three guys we'll talk about today, Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell, Malik Willis. Now, looking at Sam Howell, let me find his box score. Let me find the box score of the game. There we are. Tar Heels played VTech. They put up 10 points. 10 points. Sam Howell's going into his third year in this offense. He should look polished. He should look clean. It should look like the game comes easy to him. Now, don't get me wrong. VTech is a very solid defense. Probably the best defense that, these top quarterbacks play out of Spencer Rattler, Malik Willis, and the other guys. So I get that. And I also want to preface this by saying that Sam Howell had very little help from his offensive line and very little help from his offensive weapons. He did not any longer have, De'Ami Brown, Daz Newsome, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. And so losing those four weapons to the NFL, it really showcased, I think, what his ultimate ceiling is as a quarterback. And this was my worries about Howell all along. And it's kind of my worries about Mills. But these are my worries about Howell all along. That he's a good quarterback, but he's a limited one, just like Baker Mayfield. You give Baker Mayfield all these weapons like the Browns have done for him, and yeah, he can lead you to the playoffs, sure. But he needs those perfect surroundings, just like Howell. The protection there wasn't there on Friday versus VTech, and he wasn't able to use his legs to extend plays, get away from pressure, and make plays out of structure as consistently as you'd like to see against college defenses. If he's not doing it against college defenses, he's not doing it against the NFL guys, right? So that has always been a worry for me. Then you saw the bad stuff from 2020 still appeared in 2021. And going into his third year, again, with UNC, you'd really want to see him take that jump and knock some of those warts out of his game. But we saw the slow decision making. We saw the fact that he needs a very clean pocket to work. And like I said, he struggles versus pressure. So those three things were still on display for me. It reinforced my thought of who Sam Howell is. And then he lacked the good moments from 2020. Those didn't show up as much. He was amazing at executing RPOs in 2020. And VTech knew that. And VTech made it their game plan to take away his first read. And when Sam Howell's first read was taken away, he really struggled to make it to a second and third read and trust those guys. These are new weapons with him. So it was hard for him to make anticipatory throws downfield. And there were so many times I saw, even when he had a clean pocket, he would load up to throw and then he would hesitate. And he would load up to throw again and he would hesitate. And he just wasn't pulling that trigger. And that led to sacks and him having to try and run around to save his life. He needed to get the ball out quicker and he didn't. And that was a big issue. Now, I think two things can be true. I think two things can be true regarding Sam Howell. Number one is that he's not as bad as he showed Friday, and he will improve over the season as he trusts his teammates more, gets used to what they are capable of doing. And the second thing that is true is that these flaws that we see on tape are things that can follow him for the rest of his NFL career, just like Baker Mayfield. And because of that, it limits his ceiling. For me, I don't want to take a quarterback who needs to have perfect surroundings around him to succeed, because it's it's not very often that a team can build perfect surroundings around a quarterback. So it gives you less margin for error when you have a guy like Howell, who's a bit more limited. So I wouldn't take him if the Texans are picking 1. I wouldn't pick him if we're picking top 5, if we're picking top 10. Even though he'll still probably be drafted there, he just wouldn't be the guy for me. I think the ceiling is limited. And I've thought that since seeing his 2020 tape. So that game versus VTech, it kind of just reinforced my worries about Sam Howell. Let's see what y'all saying. Receivers were sus the whole game. He didn't have a lot of help, man. Howell just didn't seem to be able to pick his head up back after the first interception. That's another thing, is like, he threw that first interception and his body language, his demeanor, it looked just off the rest of the game. And VTech wanted the game more, in my opinion. They really took that game to him. And then he made another horrible interception where he was about to fall down to the ground, and I think it was third. It wasn't even 3rd or 4th down, I don't believe. But you guys know the play, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But it was a horrible interception, that last one. Let's talk about Spencer Rattler, though, because you're right, Jamarcus Robinson. Rattler forced balls for no reason, and his mechanics are horrible. Rod MJ, Rattler needs to be more consistent. Chris Murray will get to Matt Corral for sure at the end of these ones. So let me talk about Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, and a few other guys first. But going on Spencer Rattler. And it's funny because I just talked about Sam Howell, kind of showing the same flaws on tape as he showed in 2020. And Spencer Rattler looked like the exact same dude in 2022. He looked like the exact same damn dude. I mean, the inconsistencies in terms of forcing throws. I don't even want to call it inconsistencies. He was forcing throws. And this is the thing that comes with the gunslinger mentality, is that he's going to test double coverage. That's what he showed all last year. He's willing to test double coverage because he knows his arm is one of the best in this class. It's probably between him and Malik Willis in terms of all the throws that he can make on the field, right? He can make every single throw on the field. And so he's so confident in that he will test double and triple coverage. And it's a double-edged sword because he had a touchdown throwing into double coverage, but he also had an interception throwing into double coverage. And so that sort of gunslinger mentality, I was expecting him to take a step with that and rein it in a little bit this year, but it hasn't looked like he has. And if Lincoln Riley isn't the guy to get into Rattler's head and have him make that change and grow in that department, I mean, who is? There's not many guys who are better than Lincoln Riley. I think it might take, an established veteran coach who has won Super Bowls and won at the highest level. That would probably be what it takes to get to Rattler to calm down and be better with his decision making, man. But the other stuff that he looked the same as in terms of last year, he bounced back after his first interception. That's always what he did in 2020. He would always bounce back after his interceptions. This game versus, Tulane? Was it Tulane? Yeah. He had 18 straight completions after he threw that pick. 18 straight. He gets pissed off when he throws a pick. Every time he threw a pick or he didn't complete a pass that game, he looked pissed off. So it's good to see him bounce back. But after that bounce back, he had a great few drives. Then after that, the decision making again popped up. And he had another pick. He had another dropped pick. And he had another pick called back due to a bullshit defensive pass interference call. He could have very easily had 4 interceptions on the day versus Tulane. Not what you want to see out of the potential number 1 pick. Not what you want to see. And then another thing I noticed about Rattler that really worries me and also didn't improve from 2020 is the fact that he's so scared to get hit. And I noticed it the most this game because even when he has a clean pocket, even when he has good protection, Spencer Rattler is drifting backwards. Y'all notice that? He's still drifting backwards even when he has a clean pocket because he's scared to get hit. And when you're drifting backwards like that, it's harder to get your mechanics in place. Harder to have your feet, your lower body, your base to be on balance and to be lined up to your target and whatnot. And because of that, he was missing a lot of easy throws high and also behind his target. One of them led to an interception, and it was just not good accuracy out of Rattler on throws that you would very much expect him to make, man. Very much expect him to make. Rattler stayed Rattler. He things just Like, things just go his way this time, but he started off rough last year too. He did start off rough last year too, but you'd expect that out of a guy making his first starts in that year. But now in his second year in that system, I mean, come on, take that step. And I guess it's something to be said that most of these quarterbacks struggled week one, like the big name guys. But so maybe there's just like, it's the start of the season. Like, of course, quarterbacks are going to be a little bit slower to it. So there's definitely that angle too. But I want to see them work out these kinks, work out these flaws, man. That's going to be the number one thing to look forward to. I said it earlier with Mills, quarterback development is not linear. It goes up, it goes down. So as long as we start to see Howell, Rattler start working on these kinks, I don't think there's any reason for us to, to write them off after this one game completely. I think especially with Rattler, I say that more so with Rattler than with Howell, because Rattler's ceiling is higher than Howell. He still has the highest ceiling in this class, no doubt. Let me find the final box score for his numbers. Tulane, there we go. So he ended up finishing, like, it looks good on the day, 30 for 39. He only had 9 incompletions. You'd think, the way I talked about him, he had a horrible day. But in the box score, it looks great. Not great. It looks solid, but the eye test, if you actually watch the full game, I think everyone can see and everyone comes to the conclusion that it was not his best game whatsoever. And look at this, they had 27 points in the first half, and they had 3 in the second half. He really did not play good over that second half of the game, man. That's really disappointing to see. But it's not the end of the day. I think he still has the ceiling of a quarterback 1 in this class. It's just we need to see that growth happen soon. It's not a good start, but he can always still make a bit of a comeback there. Willie Boy P, thank you for the $5, my guy. I appreciate you. He says, hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend with some great college football this weekend. Man, I love college football. Yes, you're absolutely right. Hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. Thank you for the $5, man. Appreciate you. Living the dream, kind of, Willie Boy P. I'm going to talk about Malik Willis, and then I'm going to talk about a few other players, and then I'm going to get y'all to call in if y'all want to. Because Willie Boy P and my boy Money Matt are our newest Texans Thoughts team leaders. And you can join them and be part of the team with the link in the description. Come join our exclusive team, exclusive access to our Discord. You can get the ability to call in on the stream and talk ball. Really, just a lot of fun. We're doing fantasy leagues this year. So if you want to be part of that for next year, actually, we still got a free league that we're about to start. So if you join now, you might have a chance. Links in the description. Appreciate y'all for all the love you show me. All right, next up on the list, we talked about Sam Howell. We talked about Spencer Rattler, but out of the top 3 guys, by far the most impressive was Malik Willis out of Liberty. Woo, he started off really hot, man. Really hot. And he was showing the arm talent. It was on display. Fully on display. I mean, that man has a cannon. He has a rocket. And that was impressive. But I think what the most impressive thing for me is, we're talking about making improvements from the 2020 tape. Who improved, who looked the same. Malik Willis' number one thing that he needed to improve from last year was accuracy and his mechanics, and specifically the lower body. You guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about lower body mechanics, but it's so important for quarterbacks, especially young guys. Drill it into their head early, and they'll be good. All right? Willis, his footwork, what is playing? Is something playing? Oh, this is playing. My bad, y'all. There we go. Okay. Did not mean for that to be playing. I apologize. But Willis showed off so much better accuracy, so much better ball placement, and his day could have been even better if not for some drops by his wide receivers. Ryan, I know what you're I know you're with me on this one. Where's Liberty? But he was placing the ball beautifully for his guys to make plays. Beautifully. Did I pass Liberty? No, they're not UL. And they were just dropping shit, man. They were just dropping shit. But I really liked his accuracy. I thought he cleaned that up a good amount, and so it's great to see him take that step. And the thing with Malik Willis is that him taking that step, it lines up with the reports of his great work ethic. Let me find the Liberty football box score. Oh, it's Campbell, right? Liberty versus Campbell box score, ESPN. There you are. There you go. So he went 15 for 23 for 217 yards and a touchdown. And he had a rushing touchdown as well. But like I was trying to say before I cut myself off, is that... What was I trying to say? My short-term memory is worse than a damn goldfish. It's worse than a damn goldfish. Willis truck defender, as long as we can get top 3, we get Malik Willis. His vertical speed is ridiculous. Cleaned up his throwing on the run. Yeah, man. His overall accuracy. Oh, I was talking about his work ethic. His work ethic. It's been reported that his work ethic is amazing. And with quarterbacks, a lot of the time it just comes down to the intangibles. Like all these guys got talent, but it comes down to the intangibles to improve at the NFL level. And so the reports are that his work ethic was great, and we saw that match with on the field with his improved accuracy. So I was very impressed by that. He had a short day here because they just absolutely blew out Campbell. But now this is the thing, talking about, end of the day with Malik Willis. Like, what's the final conclusion, from this game, from my take away from this game is this man balled out for sure, showed improvement, but he did it against the damn soup brand, man. He did it against the damn soup brand, Campbell. And that's the shitty thing about Malik Willis, and something that is going to be probably his biggest negative throughout the draft process, is that you're doing this at Liberty. You're doing it in that conference, right? Where's the competition at? You weren't playing VTech, you weren't playing Tulane, you're playing a soup brand. So, and that's not something that we're going to get to see, I think, except for 2 games where he plays better competition. But for the most part, we're not going to get to see him versus better competition. I would love to see him in a Senior Bowl setting. I think that would be really great to really test him. But because of this competition, this lack of competition that he's playing, he's going to need to sit. He's going to need to sit. He's not going to be a day one guy, in my opinion. Just like how Trey Lance at NDSU with the Niners. You can have the God himself and Kyle Shanahan. You can have a great offensive line, all these great weapons in place, but they still don't want to commit to him. Not yet. And Willis is a similar way, especially when he's a raw thrower right now, because playing at Liberty, playing versus Campbell Soup, I mean, the clean pockets he had to work with, he had all day. He can sit back, read a book, he can listen to a David Culley press conference and fall asleep, man. He had all the time in the world. So I would be patient with him. And I think if we're talking about in terms of what the Texans should do, if Malik Willis is there with our second first-round pick that we presumably get from Deshaun Watson, you pull the trigger and you give him time. You still potentially give Davis Mills some starts, but you give Malik Willis time to develop. Now, if he's not there, you take someone else. But that would be my thought process right now. And I'm going to get into the guys I think we should take with our first pick, top 5-ish, around that area, in a second, because I think there's a lot of better players, and you should always go BPA. Always, always, always. But quickly, I wanted to talk about 5 quarterbacks who I thought their stock is going up. Their stock is going up, and they're not, in the consensus top 3, not all of them at least, but 5 guys I like and would take a chance on, if they're there in the second round, or potentially you can see these guys climb up even more and we take them, in the latter half of the first. Starting off, I think the guy who arguably had the best day was Desmond Ritter out of Cincinnati. And we've talked about him on stream before. He's got a lot of fans in this chat, I know. But Desmond Ritter balled out, man. He had 2 crazy long touchdowns on posts over the middle of the field. He showed off that booming arm talent. He showed off his sneaky athleticism. And I thought what was impressive is how he kind of navigated the pocket. So I really like that out of Ritter. I think he has the potential to be a first round guy, probably top 20, can rise more for sure, but probably top 20, top 25 type of guy. So he's very interesting for sure. Definitely keep an eye on him. Ooh, we got Grizzly Bear's first time on the stream. Everyone say hi, Grizzly Bear. Hi, Grizzly Bear. Hope you enjoying the stream, my dude. What's good? Watch from work, unfortunately. That sucks, Murphy, but I appreciate your dedication to the thoughts. Stream. I don't know. Desmond Ritter was great. Stock up for sure. Another guy, Carson Strong. He played late on Saturday. Or was it Sunday? No, it must have been Saturday. Carson Strong showing off his arm talent for sure. Showing off a little bit of mobility. He can do a little bit of stuff off script. I kind of think of him like Sam Howell in that way. Like, he's not a statue in the pocket, but you don't want him to be, he's not Watson either in terms of athleticism. But with Strong, I thought he started really strong, and he didn't finish as strong. I think we see the issues with him that plagued him last year as well, is, locking on to reads, and when he's going to throw it deep, he freaking rainbows that mother trucker. God damn. And you just can't do that. You just can't rainbow it like that, especially if you're going to lock onto your reads. So hope to see better improvement out of that with Strong. But I mean, the arm strength, the velocity, the ability to make, this was actually the biggest thing. This was the biggest thing for Strong that I noticed, is that you watch all these college games and it's their coaches who are making the audibles at the line. It's always the coaches. And you see the entire offense, you see the quarterback, they turn their head to the sideline and they're waiting for that call, and then they'll relay it. But with Carson Strong at Nevada, he's making the adjustments at the line. He's making the audibles. He's commanding the entire offense. So that puts his mental game a step ahead of all those other guys. So I think that's very, very interesting to talk about. A guy who he lacks the elite physical traits that I always love to talk about and love to have in a quarterback, but his mental game, man. So if he can make it elite like a Brady, like a Manning, that's definitely something to be interested in. All right, we got some questions. As of right now, Louisiana's only opponent that's nationally ranked. That's rough. Anthony Meyer says, what do you think about Brock Purdy? To be honest, I did not watch Brock Purdy, but I kind of am not too high on him. He would be a guy I would like. He would be like a Mills, take him in the third round or something if you really want to. Camel's mascot is a fighting camel. Oh boy, yeah, man, yeah. Yeah, Ryan, you're right. Got to get through those reads for sure. But definitely, if you're watching Nevada games, check out Romeo Dubes, man. That wide receiver is Nelson Aguilar, but consistent. He is nice. Okay, we talked about Desmond Ritter. We talked about Carson Strong. One of my guys who had a nice game himself was Phil Jurkovich. Phil Jurkovich out of Boston College. Where is that box score? Because he had an impressive stat line. And if you turn on the game, it looked even more impressive, man. Even more impressive. I am blind. I can't see BC anywhere. My Asian eyes are failing me. I don't see it. All right. Boston College versus Colgate box score, ESPN. Phil Jurkovich. He's not high on the experts list. There's some guys who will admit he's a sleeper. But Phil Jurkovich, Boston College quarterback, 16 for 24 for 303 yards. He averaged 12.6 yards a freaking throw and had 3 touchdowns. And yes, again, it's Colgate, a damn toothpaste brand. Like, competition level ain't there. They blew them out 51-0. Jurkovich only played, I think it was like 3 quarters. It was like 2.5 quarters. No, I think it was like 3 quarters. But he really wowed me. He's another guy, great arm strength. He's huge. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's thick. He's like 230. So he's got, that NFL ready body and that frame that, old school guys really like. And I think Nick Caserio particularly likes to have in a quarterback. And he really likes to win from within the pocket. He loves to stand tall, will throw in front of pressure. I talked about how Spencer Rattler doesn't like to get hit. He's scared to get hit. Phil Jurkovich is not scared whatsoever. Phil the Thrill That's what I'm going to call him. Phil the damn thrill, man. Ooh, he will laser a throw with a hit coming right in his face. He's not scared. That's a trait that these pocket passers really need. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. Those guys were never scared to take a hit. And I love that out of Phil. And the great thing about Phil is that not only does he win from within the pocket, but he's got sneaky athleticism, man. He's got sneaky athleticism. They called some option plays for him, some design runs for him, and he's got wheels. He's got wheels. So I like him. Keep tabs on him for sure. Pull up the chart that I sent in the chat, bro. Where's the chart? I'm not seeing the chart, Ryan. Can you at me in the Discord and I'll pull it up. All right, a few more quarterbacks. I think 2 more quarterbacks I'm gonna talk about, and then I'm gonna talk about. Oh no, then I gotta talk about 2023 guys, and I'm gonna talk about Kevon Thibaut, Derek Stingley, Kyle Hampton, Evan Neal. Then I'm gonna talk about what the Texans are gonna do, and then I'm gonna have some call-ins for my Texans last team leaders. So let me hurry this up a little bit because I gotta go in 18 minutes. All right, stock up for quarterbacks. Desmond Ritter, Carson Strong, Phil Jerkovich, another guy, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's my later round sleeper. He's my, Kellen Mond type of guy. He's my Jamie Newman, who I loved last year. Felipe Franks, Ryan, yo boy. DTR from UCLA. UCLA's got a team this year. Shout out to Chip Kelly for finally putting together something. But DTR is your super skinny, little undersized, Kyler Murray looking ass type of quarterback, dual threat guy, raw as a passer, has some shocking decisions at times, but you see that all the tools are there, the physical tools are there, amazing arm strength, super mobile, and he just makes some wild off-script throws that you're like, no, yes, what a great throw, that type of guy. They hung 38 on LSU. Stats weren't amazing. I mean, 9 for 16 is solid. They're a run-heavy team, but 260 yards, man, 16.3 yards a pop, 3 touchdowns. He had an ugly interception where he just completely didn't see a guy underneath, and so that's something that needs to be cleaned up. But when we're talking about all these quarterbacks, they're all raw. They're all making these same mistakes. And so if Dorian Thompson-Robinson has as high of a ceiling, I think he has a higher ceiling than Sam Howell. So would I rather take Sam Howell in the first round or Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the third? Give me Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'm just going to start saying DTR because I'm fucking up his name. Give me DTR in the third when he has a higher damn ceiling than him. And yeah, there's a higher chance that he's going to bust, but I'm taking him in the damn third, so I don't really care as much. Right? So I'm really high on DTR. I think he's definitely a guy you guys should keep tabs on. And he's another guy who's a developmental guy, but his ceiling is high. So that's what I care about. Gotta bounce. Be good, Chad. Don't forget to support the brother. Thank you, Beige. Appreciate you. Take care, my guy. What's up? We got Pat in the chat. Everyone say hi to Pat. Ryan, did you at me in the list you wanted me to post? DTR had a 33% touchdown percentage. LMAO. That's right, Anthony, man. God damn. Apparently the DN from Oregon. Yeah, we can talk about Kevon in a second. So I like DTR. And let's talk about the guy who's shown on TV right now. Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. People are, NFL pundits and experts are pegging him as the next Zach Wilson. The next guy to come out of nowhere and become a top 5 pick. And I think he has the ceiling for that because booming arm talent, great athlete, makes plays off script. Those are the main 3 things that really you look for in terms of, a dynamic franchise quarterback, especially for nowadays in the modern NFL. But he's looked good today, man. He's looked sharp. And here's the thing about Matt Corral is that he is probably the most volatile quarterback in college right now. I mean, it's probably between him and Spencer Rattler. Matt Corral threw 11 interceptions in 2 games last season. But the rest of the season, he was lights out. He was amazing. He looked like one of the best guys in all of college. But those 2 games, 11 interceptions in 2 games, that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's Ryan Mallett. That's just horrible. That's unacceptable, right? But if you can iron out those kinks, like you have to do for all of these quarterbacks that I've talked about today, none of them are perfect, then you got a really damn good player, Matt Corral, and he was showing it tonight against Louisville, that, the smooth footwork in the pocket, the sidearm throws, the big arm he possesses, the mobility to scramble and run. He's showing the full package, man. So Matt Corral is definitely another guy. I think he's probably going to end up going top 20 picks. So we talked a lot about, the Texans potentially having two first rounders this year. Go BPA at 1. And then if one of those quarterbacks that you like in the later half of the first round are there, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, maybe it's Desmond Ritter, maybe it's Phil Jurkovich, then take those guys, man. Take those guys. Oof. All right, we talked a lot about the 2022 quarterbacks, and what I quickly wanted to touch on was the 2023 quarterbacks. Pat Storm, bring more wisdom to the chat. Hey man, you gotta be in the exclusive Discord that Pat Storm is also in. You gotta be. That's where the intel is at. No, I'm playing. Or am I? Tristan Fiore says, I saw some people have the Texans taking Stingley in the draft. I know it's super early. We'll talk about Stingley in a second. He did not have a good game. I want to talk about Bryce Young and DJ Uiagalelei. Apparently that's how you pronounce it. Ooh, okay. Thank you, Ryan, for the chart. Here is a good chart that I'm trying to pull up on the screen. Discord. There we go. Just to summarize, I'm not a big stats guy, but this is an ESPN chart. It looks like, taking ESPN stat from quarterback rating and expected points added, and you want to be, in the upper right tier of this chart. And so it's just an easy way to visualize which quarterbacks did great and overperformed and which ones underperformed. And, these stats seem to match the eye test. The eye test. DJ Uiagalelei was ass. Sam Howell was ass. Where's Spencer Rattler? He's probably somewhere in the middle here. There he is. Spencer Rattler's there. Okay, so he was fine. I mean, the stats are going to look good. Oh, Kenny Pickett's another guy I really like. Out of Pitt. There's Bryce Young. We're going to get to him in a second. There's my boy, Phil Jurkovich. Let's go. There's Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So, good little chart here. Shout out to Ryan for the chart. But yeah, let's talk about Bryce Young, man. Let's talk about Bryce freaking Young. God damn, that man looked good. God damn. And I thought, let me find the box score for y'all. Alabama, where are you? There you are. There's the box score for y'all. 27 for 38, 344, 9.1 yards a pop, 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. He looked clean. And it's really crazy for a 20-year-old to look as good as Bryce did. He looked damn near unstoppable. And to be honest, he kind of looked worth the wait. Worth the wait for the Texans to wait till 2023 draft and go take his ass number 1 overall. He really did. Because he showed everything. He showed, the basic traits I always talk about, big arm, using his legs to extend the play and still scanning downfield. But he also showed crazy things for a 20-year-old. Number 1, staying composed in the pocket, maneuvering a little bit around, and then, like I said, running out to scramble, but not fully running downfield, waiting for his guys to get open. And then the really impressive thing to me was how he was beating blitzes. I mean, they were constantly sending blitzes at him. Miami was, and he was composed. He was calculated. He diagnosed them pre and post snap. And he beat the hell out of them. Miami couldn't find an answer for him. So that was very impressive out of a 20-year-old. And yes, he has the best talent around him out of all these guys. But he's a different quarterback than I think Tua, Jalen Hurts, and Mac Jones were. He has that X factor to give him a higher ceiling than all those guys, in my opinion. And in his one game, he had better opening game stats than all of those guys too. And he's doing this all in spite of Bill O'Brien calling the damn plays. I mean, we've seen firsthand how shitty Bill O'Brien is. And Bryce Young's still going to come out here and look like damn Jesus. He is a sophomore. Yes, sir. Trying. Tristan. Whew. I want to wait for Bryce. Tank a year. Tank twice for Bryce. I mean, exactly, Chris Murray. He showed he can deal with Bill O'Brien too. He's doing all this despite Bill O'Brien. Oh my God. Bryce Young.
Boom.
Very impressive day. Very impressive day, man.
A bigger banner. Finding a finance system that helps us make better decisions faster.
What is playing?
Prepares our business for change.
Okay. Oh my goodness. These ads on ESPN, man. There we go. That's done with. Okay. So yeah, I like Bryce Young a lot, man. I think he could possibly be worth the wait. Obviously, let's not overreact too much to one game, but just like I want to preach for all these other guys to talk about today. But it was a great start, man. Great start. Let's see how he does for the rest of the year. And then the other guy in 2023 who's supposed to be billed as, one of these top guys, DJ Uiagalelei out of Clemson. Probably, the exact opposite story of Bryce Young. The exact opposite. I mean, he had an ugly day. 19 for 37, 178 yards, 4.8 yards a pop, 0 touchdowns, a pick, and should have had multiple other picks in my opinion. 36.7 QBR, bro. Whew. I'm not a big stats guy, but the stats matched the tape today with this game. And he was going up against an elite defense in Georgia, one of the best defenses in the nation, probably a top 3 defense. But he just looked very raw. And he looked very raw last year too, when he got his few snaps. Very raw as a thrower. He's forcing reads. He's locking on to reads. And he's not making the right decisions on a lot of these option routes that Clemson has drawn up for them. And it just looked ugly. So give him time. He's raw. I think he's more of a developmental guy than, a guaranteed thing. But I think he was a little bit overhyped. Seemed like it. He's still got elite traits in terms of his ceiling, but he's going to need some more time. I would not, as of right now, obviously, I would not, wait for him. I'll wait for Bryce Young. I won't wait for DJ. Patrick Stormy says, wouldn't it be magical if Bryce Young is drafted by the Texans because of Bill O'Brien's play calling? Whoo, hey, bring Bill O'Brien back. Maybe if they're just working so well together, maybe he's the next head offensive coordinator after. Oh, man. How funny would that be? Tristan Fiore says, UGA is one of the best teams in the nation. Their offense is sketchy by the D. Whoo, it's nasty, man. It's nasty. Let's talk about some other notable performances in terms of what the Texans are going to do with their first round pick. Likely, whatever you want to say, top 3, top 5, top 10, wherever, in that range. First off, Kevon Thibaut. I think, for me, he's the best college player in the nation. I wrote an article about it. You can check it out on Sports Illustrated. Find it on my Twitter. But he looked like a man amongst boys in his limited reps. He did get injured. He was seen in a walking boot, but they did an x-ray and says there's no long-term damage, so it should be fine. But in his limited plays, there were 2 reps. Only 2 reps. I think he played half of the first quarter or something like that. Only 2 reps where he was left one-on-one with an offensive line. To take on tough terrain, and one of those reps was a sack, forced fumble. And the other one was a pressure. So he really picked up right where he left off in 2020 and is, in my opinion, the best player, best defender, whatever you want to call it, in this class. And he would be the most impactful player that the Texans could get their hands on this year. So if I'm at 1, I'm taking Kevon. Just go best player available. Get Kevon on your defense. He's your alpha guy. He can be the best defender on, a Super Bowl winning defense. And he's going to further that identity that the Texans are trying to build in the trenches. I think I see him as, somewhere between Von Miller, Shaq Barrett, and Chase Young. And those are really high names to hold him to. But I think he can be, especially like a Shaq Barrett. Like I said, the best defender on a Super Bowl winning defense. I think Kevon can be that. And obviously, you have to put more guys around him. But, he looked great. Only problem is there isn't a guarantee they first overall pick in 20. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with the whole Bryce Young thing. That's the whole thing with the Bryce Young thing. You can't really, it's hard to predict where the team's going to be at in 2 years. What if they show out to be better this year and then they take another step next year? And then you're like, what the fuck do we do with quarterback now? But I think Kevon is for sure the answer if you're sitting there and he's on the board, man. He's too tough of a prospect to pass up because not only is he this freak athlete, not only is he this freak pass rusher, but he's a complete defensive end. Complete. He defends the run. He processes the mental game. He'll get his hands up and bat passes at the line of scrimmage. They even ask him to drop in coverage on occasion. I wouldn't really ask him to do that, but he's athletic enough to do it. And he showed he wasn't a liability doing it at Oregon. So he does it all, man. He wins with speed. He wins with power. He wins with his hands. He can rush against guards. He can rush against tackles. There is nothing he can't do. So I love Thibaut, man. Love Thibaut. Trading up for a quarterback is always an option. Yeah, we're gonna get into one of my crazy theories here in a second. As I ask. Okay, I'll make the call now. Ryan, we got Matt, we got Woodboy P. Any of y'all want to call into the stream? Y'all trying to call in tonight for these last few minutes? Let me know and I'll get you in here. But other guys I want to talk about, Derek Stingley. He reportedly had a bad day. Unfortunately, I didn't watch the LSU game. But he looked lackadaisical. He was really bad at tackling. Oh my goodness. And he seemed to not really understand, how to use his leverage to his advantage. And just the fine technical aspects of playing the cornerback position. As a freshman, we saw him dominate because he was a freak athlete and he was pretty solid in technique. But something that I saw over his 2019 and 2020 tape is when he went up against good competition versus Devontae Smith. Well, I'm in elite competition in Devontae Smith. And then George Pickens from Georgia. Or sorry, not George Pickens. George Pickens as well. But Van Jefferson from Florida. He was getting beat. And he was getting turned around. It was not good. So, not the greatest start for Derek Stingley. I would definitely prefer Kevon Thibaut over him. But we'll see how he improves over the year. Another guy who had a huge day was Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. A lot of, draft Twitter, if you guys are following a lot of those guys, they think that Kyle Hampton is the best player in the draft. They don't think it's Kevon Thibaut. They don't think it's Derek Stingley. They don't think it's Spencer Rattler. They think it's Kyle Hamilton. And he proved them pretty right last night. He had 2 picks. One of them was absolutely... Not 2 picks. Yeah, he had 2 picks. Yeah, one of them was absolutely insane, coming from the far hash across the entirety of the field. And just stole that one. Then he had another PBU, which led to an interception. He had multiple run stops. He was playing all over the field. And what I like about Kyle Hampton from a Texans perspective is that he can play any position in the safety backfield for you. So whether you want to keep Justin Reed or whether you want to transition Lonnie to a starter, Kyle Hampton can do it all. And what he can also do is if you potentially ask him to put on 5-10 pounds, he can go play Mike damn linebacker for you. And we know in the Tampa 2 that Mike zone is essentially like a safety zone. It's essentially a deep third of the field. And so if you can get this safety linebacker, do it all, freak athletic, 6'4", 225 pound safety, put on 10 pounds, go be a Mike linebacker and be, generational and try and revolutionize that position. Whew, that could be something to think about, man. Could be something to think about for sure. Matt or Willie get to go first. Are they still here? Can we all go together? You get first talk, bro. Join when you're ready when you are. Okay, you guys are in already? All right, let me get y'all in here. So I really like Kyle Hampton. Last guy I thought was interesting is Evan Neal. He's the left tackle of Alabama. He's a Tunsil type of, blue chip prospect, but I think he's a better run blocker than Tunsil is. And so, hey, maybe we go Evan Neal this year and Bryce Young the year after. Get that Alabama connection going. Get that left tackle that you trust. Maybe we trade Tunsil this year for 2 firsts. Take a tackle, Evan Neal, who's younger, who could be better than Tunsil, and then go get a quarterback next year. I'm all about building in the trenches for sure, taking the best player available. And if that happens to be an offensive lineman, it happens to be a damn offensive lineman, man. But now we're going to get 2 of the Texans Thoughts team leaders into the stream, my boy Ryan and my boy Matt. And if you guys want to call into the stream, join the Texans Thoughts team. The link is in the description. It's a monthly membership, but you get a whole lot of good perks. It's all up in there. Alrighty,
Oh, there he is.
Ryan, Matt, how are you doing today?
Matt first.
He muted his mic. Ryan, let's hear it.
I mean, I'm good. Just working on school all day, you know. You know how it is.
Yeah, it's the grind.
Get
It's the
out.
grind. We gotta. You're almost done though, huh? You got
I
2 years.
I graduated from undergrad, but I got 2 more years left
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
graduate program.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Hey, we got Matt in the building. Matt, I want to know who was the top quarterback standout for you this weekend.
I want to say Cincinnati's.
Desmond Ritter, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, he definitely had some highlight reel throws. Big arm. Where would you take him if you're the Texan? You take him first round?
I would take him first round.
Whew. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see him play for sure. I think he's got a lot of the tools that you want in a quarterback. He's a senior, so we could get a good look at him in the Senior Bowl. It'd be interesting if the Texans could get David Culley down in Mobile, Alabama, and be one of the Senior Bowl coaches. That'd be real fun for sure. What do you think?
Not like he's gonna have much to do during that off season.
No, sir. Better go get a look at all the best senior prospects, man. You know Nick Casario loves some Senior Bowl guys. Loves them. All right, I got one more question for you, Matt. What do you want the Texans to do? Say they got the first overall pick. You want them to go quarterback? You want them to go Kevon Thibaut? Are you a big Derek Stingley guy? What are your thoughts?
I want Kevon.
You want Kevon. Let's go. Let's go. Matt's on my train. He's on my side. I like it. Ryan, same question for you.
Ooh, honestly, if we only have the one first round pick, I wouldn't go quarterback because we have too many other holes.
Okay.
That's fair.
But if we have two,
I think it's between Thibodeau and Kyle Hamilton, honestly.
Kyle Hamilton definitely impressed me a lot more than Derek Stingley, and I think his versatility and his ability to be, that guy to kind of change the game on defense, that's huge.
He's what Lovey needs.
He is. We're gonna see all this year our Mike linebacker, whether it's Christian Kirksey or Neville Hewitt or whoever ends up playing there for most of the snaps, they're gonna get burnt over that middle. It's not gonna be pretty, and we're gonna want like a safety type of guy like Kyle Hamilton to go do that.
I think we need more of a strong safety though than Kyle Hamilton is.
I think Hamilton can do both.
I kind of want to see him play more as a strong safety for me to feel more comfortable with saying, "Hey, let's change his position completely."
To linebacker, yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
Then you look at what was his name? Tanner Muse, who did the same thing. Even though he got hurt and we didn't even see him, he put on the muscle, he put on that weight. He just happened to get hurt. And if we picked up Tanner right now, which I'm hoping we put a claim in on wires for him, because safety converting to middle linebacker, that's a lot easier of a switch.
Yeah, I know. I hear you for sure. I think what makes me feel confident about that is Kyle Hamilton plays everywhere. Number one, he plays free. He plays strong. He plays in the slot too. He was manning up slot wide receivers, which was impressive. Lines up in the box, so he's doing it all. He's not like a full-time guy anywhere, but he's kind of like Derwin James. That type of athlete, that type of size, that type of versatility. And Derwin James hasn't stayed healthy, so we haven't seen that transpire fully. But if you can get Kyle Hamilton on your team, man, and especially if you move him to linebacker and he can move all over the place, whew, that's really special.
That also means we get to keep Lonnie or Reed at that point too, which would make me happy.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm a big fan of Kyle Hampton for sure. The talent. I just if we're talking about pick number one, I'd probably just go Thibodeau. But here's a scenario I want to throw out. Quarterbacks are always gonna be, top of the food chain, right? And so say we get the number one pick. I'm probably looking to trade that to whoever wants to go take that risk on Spencer Rattler or Sam Howell or Desmond Ritter, whoever the hell it may be. Trade down, get a future pick in 2023, then maybe you can use that pick to trade up for Bryce Young or just use it on the next best player available. But in 2022, you trade down, and then I'd be more willing to take, Kyle Hamilton. You guys like that idea?
Yeah, I think if we get the number one pick, we shouldn't just go ahead and use it. We should definitely find a needy team who's in desperation, say, hey, I know you're desperate. I'll give you a discount. It'll only cost you 2 other first rounders for this pick.
Exactly. I think building, the rest of this team with the best players possible. I mean, that obviously sounds like an easy, obvious formula, but this year in particular, this draft class is so heavily skewed in the defense's favor, and there's like 3, like blue chip guys with Kevon, with Stingley, and with Hamilton that are freaks, and they could all be the best player at their position in the NFL. I'm not as sold on that with Stingley, but the other 2 for sure. So,
oh yeah.
Whew. All right. We talked college ball. You guys got any thoughts on Tyrod Taylor?
I think Money Man and I talked a little bit in the chat. It was like 2 messages. But
Yeah.
Derek King is the next Tyrod Taylor.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, Derek. It's not a diss. Like you can be a starting quarterback for sure, but you're gonna be limited.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily need everything perfect around you. You're going to be the average. You're going to be the guy who gives consistency, which is more of an issue, I think.
Yeah.
I think Tyrod's going to be consistent. And it's going to be really frustrating. And it's going to be kind of boring.
So you think he's going to be inconsistent or consistent?
Consistent.
Okay, yeah. Give that.
It's going to be frustrating because it's always going to be, why are we throwing a 6-yard pass?
Yep.
And he's a guy who's going to go for the safe pass. He's not going to take the chance like Deshaun. He's not going to throw in double coverage like Deshaun would. And so it's going to be it's not going to be as exciting. It's going to get frustrating because of that. But, I mean.
For sure. I mean, hopefully he can.
Better for Nico.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is, Nico's a guy that he excels in that intermediate to deep range. He's not really the short guy. So, honestly, I'm thinking it's going to be best for Anthony Miller.
Well, I say better for Nico mainly out of consistency.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
and he's going to know when he's open and when he's not based off, does he get a pass thrown his direction?
Okay. Alrighty, last question for y'all. I'm curious. When do you think Davis Mills is going to be the starting quarterback? We'll go with Matt first.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm going to go week 8.
Ooh, that's earlier than I thought. Okay. Yeah, that's probably because that's right before the Tyrod incentives are about to kick in. Week 8, man. Do you expect Mills to look a lot better or roughly the same by week 8, Matt?
I expect him to look a little bit better. Like, I don't expect him to have Justin Herbert type numbers with Pep coaching him up and everything. But I expect him to be okay, but nothing more.
Okay, that's fair. I hear you. All right, Ryan, what about you? Week, and then how you expect him to look?
I don't know what week it is in numbers, but the week after trade deadline.
Okay, fair enough. That's when you think the team goes into a different mentality.
Do we have Deshaun or not? And then it's going to be, okay, let's go ahead. What do we have to risk? At that point,
true.
You know where you're at.
Whew. You think the trade is going to happen by the deadline, or you think it's going to happen after the season, man?
I think either way, I don't know. It could happen by tomorrow. Like tomorrow, we could hear. You know?
Yeah.
We could hear. It could never happen. Like this is just something that's up in the air. But
yeah,
I think no matter what, if we have Deshaun, if we don't, putting Mills in because we're looking for him to be the backup anyways. If we have Deshaun, putting him in and letting him grow at that point in the season. Well, that also helps us ensure probably getting a better pick.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's a win-win for us.
Yeah, you might as well get Mills in there as the tank commander. Why not?
And I just want to see him improve. It's like watching a college quarterback. You just want to see them improve throughout the games.
Exactly. And I think that's a great note to end it on, Ryan. I talked a lot about so many different college quarterbacks today, and I harped on their flaws, and and stuff I was not happy about, stuff I was happy about. But at the end of the day, to give, kind of a more mediated take about this stuff with a level head. It's one game out of the 13, something like that they're going to play this year. So it's not, I don't think you can completely write off any prospects completely because of one bad game, because hell, Deshaun Watson has one bad game every year. He has a few damn bad games every year. So it's not the end of the world. Let's just see the progress that these college guys take throughout the year. And we'll be back every week to talk about them. And I'm real excited for that. So thank you, Matt. Thank you, Ryan, for coming through on the stream. I am already 10 minutes past my deadline, so I am late. But I have to go, unfortunately. All right. We'll talk to you guys later in the Discord for sure. All right. Peace, man. Stream, thank you so much. Later, Matt. Stream, thank you so much for coming through. Listen, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate the donation from Willie Boy P. Join the Texans Thoughts team if you'd like to, and you would like to call in. Links in the description. It works on PC, not mobile, unfortunately. But yeah, man. Hope you guys take care. I'll have a Jaguars preview video later, probably Thursday, maybe Friday. And then let's go get this dub versus Jaguars on Sunday. We'll be back with a post-game stream. And yeah, man.